Welcome back to Deeper Conversations. I am Dr. Barbara Swinney, your life and holistic leadership coach and coach trainer. I am also the founder and CEO of Deeper Women Lead Global and the founder of this podcast, Deeper Conversations. This is a platform where women in leadership come to heal, lead, and learn how to leverage their stories and strategies for life, love, and leadership. So, as you can imagine, on this podcast, we'll be talking to powerful women about life, love, and leadership. They're going to share their strategies for healing, for leading, and then teaching you how to leverage your story, how to use your story to impact other women, how to use your story to start a business, how to use your story to create a platform. So listen in to all of these deeper women. This is Deeper Conversations. I'm Dr. Barbara Swinney. I'm a life and holistic leadership coach and coach trainer. I am so excited to sit on this yellow couch today with Miss Meka DaVeas. Meka, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today, just to kind of let people behind the curtain or behind the scenes of what happens with these Black women who have so much magic. So I want you to tell our audience, the deeper women out there, who Meka is. What does Meka do?
Wow, what's interesting is Meka is actually on a journey right now to find the real Meka.
That's
so
good.
I literally just wrote a blog and it is entitled My Superpower, I'm a Shapeshifter.
That's good.
And often we as women, we shift into what is needed and then we lose who we really are.
That's good.
And so since I was 12, my father passed away and then my mom kind of checked out. And so it pushed me into being the mother at 12 to my younger siblings. And that is when I discovered my superpower of shape-shifting. And so at 12, I shifted into being this mother. And then as I grew older, all I knew was how to parent.
Yeah, that's good.
So I learned in therapy that from that incident of losing my father, no longer being protected, and having to step in the role of a mother to my younger siblings, I then began to parent all the rest of my relationships. And so in being transparent, right now I am on this journey to find that little girl I left at 12 years old.
That's good. I love that. I love that because so many people, because we are kind of in the business of helping other women, I meet a lot of people along the way who've not healed, who've not found themselves, but that does not mean that you don't have something to contribute. I love that you said you're on this journey to becoming who you already were, really, because that person is in there before you became the mother. I love that you are, being so honest about being on the journey. What can you tell other women who are in that space that you're bringing along? Because I know you didn't tell us what you do, but I know you are a power-packed woman who's helping other women. What are you doing with those women?
So I'm the founder of Sisterhood University, which is a group that started off of, I was a part of Oprah's 5-part series called Black Women Own the Conversation. My particular episode was called Love. And so what I realized in the small group before the taping, they were speaking more of hurt than love. And so I said, well, they're doing this for ratings. I said, let's do this for real life. So after the TV taping, I met with the women on a Sunday and we got together and we talked about love. Where did you find out about love? Why are you afraid of love? And these women begin to open up, all strong women, leaders, and they begin to cry. And one lady said, I have not said this to anyone or opened up since I was 15 years old.
Wow.
To talk about real love.
Right.
And from that birth Sisterhood Sunday, we met on a Sunday, a bunch of sisters together. So hence Sisterhood Sunday. And so basically it's a platform. It is a gathering of strong women that come together to be strong enough to say, I'm not strong.
Yes, yes.
And I really want to do away with this narrative of oh, we're strong Black women.
Yeah,
No, we have strength.
Yes, yeah.
But in that strength, it comes from God. It's nothing on our own.
Absolutely.
But that's how we kind of ease into that shape shifting because we feel like we have to be strong in every area of our life and show up for everybody else in those areas when those areas are lacking in us.
That word strong, as you were talking, I was just thinking, when we're always having to show up as strong, or you just kind of get a picture in your head of strong, unbreakable, defeatable. I think about, as you talk about shape shifting, it really is us showing up as somebody else. It's contrary to the authenticity that we think we're portraying, because it makes us show up as this strong person. I don't break and all of that stuff. And as you are looked at as the strong person and you're on this journey, do you have a circle of friends? I know you have Sisterhood Sundays. Do you have somebody who can let you not be strong, who can let you break in your weak moments? I know I called my mother one time and I told her, I said, I thought you were a strong Black woman. She said, girl, even iron gets weak.
That's good.
So who do you call when you are experiencing some of those moments when you're just not sure on this journey? Who do you reach out to?
So I do have I call them my dream team. So I moved here from Florida about 5 years ago, and God has given me some, amazing women. So when I was diagnosed with cancer in 2020, breast cancer, my friends came together. It was 5 of them. And they said, let's do a Zoom call. And we are going to put together a schedule of your entire chemo journey. That's good. And they came together and they scheduled who was going to take me to the doctor, who was going to pick me up from treatment, who was going to cook, who was going to buy food or bring food.
That's good.
And that was interesting enough. That year, 2020, my word was being vulnerable.
That's good.
And I had no idea. June 3rd, God said, oh, okay, you want to practice in that word?
That's good.
But what I also found is being strong all the time is also a form of pride.
Yes. I can see
so
that.
I constantly find myself sitting down or being conscious and aware of when pride is showing up.
Yes.
Because we don't like to ask for help, which then pushes us into shapeshifting.
Right.
Because we don't like asking for help.
Absolutely.
And the word shapeshifter means turning or giving into any shape or form at will. And so I have to be very conscious of that because they're there. I just have to remember to lean on them in the areas of my weakness.
Yes. You know, I have 9 brothers and sisters, and I went through a whole divorce, a whole shift in my career, and I didn't call one of them.
Wow.
Because there was this unspoken expectation. They never said it. There was this unspoken expectation to show up as having it together. And I thought that going through the divorce was me not having it together, or experiencing this involuntary shift in my career was me not having it together, because I had become so accustomed to the hand claps. You know, with 9 brothers and sisters, they all doted on me. I love them. They are part of, who I am today. But it drove me to addiction. I was addicted to this external affirmation. So divorce doesn't feel like a hand clap. You don't know that you are being made into something better. You don't know that as you go through it. So I went through that whole thing by myself because I felt like I needed to be the strong person. And I wanted to be able to come to them after it was all over and I was healed and all of that, and had dealt with it.
I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Are there times when you see other women doing that? They go through all of this stuff and you feel like you're so alone. And you said you're always checking yourself to make sure you're reaching out. Is there a particular thing that you do to make sure? Do you have some kind of practice when you're going inside and you're asking yourself, do I need to reach out? Is this a time that I need to reach out?
I think So I'm on this journey as well. There is a real thing called our inner bully. So I decided to give my inner bully a name. And her name is Justine. And Justine is Justine because she justifies saying the things she says to me. So whenever she's, and this is as of recent, whenever she gets really loud, I know that it's time to reach out to somebody else. Because sometimes, because the Bible says faith comes by hearing and hearing the word of God. So when we begin to hear ourselves outside of ourselves, sometimes we can come to the conclusion of what really needs to be worked on, or we get our aha moments. And so sometimes in just calling my girlfriends in random conversations, I say, I need to be hot right now.
That's good.
Honest, open, and transparent.
That's good.
So whenever Justine gets loud, I know, okay, let me call on a real friend because Justine is not my friend.
That's good. She's working against you.
Yeah,
right?
she's working against me.
Trying to keep you down.
Yeah. How dare she?
Yeah. I would say Justine is the ego. That is because the ego only exists to make us be in fear. That's its only purpose. You can't kill it because it wasn't born. It was just kind of created inside of us. But I like that you have that as a buffer. I like Justine because she keeps Meka centered.
Yes.
She serves a purpose as well, even though she can be seen as, a negative voice, but it keeps you balanced in a way.
And maybe you can help me figure out how to get Justine to become my friend. Because she's a bully right now.
Yes.
And I mean, she says some really mean things. Like, she's hard, right? And so I guess now is learning how to turn our inner bully into our best friend.
Do you challenge Justine?
Well, I just come to grips that she really exists.
Okay, first step.
Yeah.
First step.
Because sometimes you like, if you think about bullies in school, right? Sometimes you feel, okay, well, I'm just maybe somewhat, what's the right word? You see them and you're still trying to figure them out. And you see them in operation with other people, but it isn't until they really turn on you that you realize they're a bully. And so I think I've just come to the realization that this is not me. This is not me telling me this. This is not God telling me this. This is a bully.
Yes, those are not your thoughts.
Those are not my
Those
thoughts.
are not your thoughts. And if you even look at the nature of a bully, the bully is insecure. And Meka is so much bigger than the bully. But I think that you've now recognized Justine and you've put your finger on her. I think she's going to lose her power. I think she's not going to show up in the same way. She'll show up and then she'll be afraid of you. And she'll turn and go the other way or bow to your good graces.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because I think with, like you said, like when we fear the bullies most of the time are insecure.
Yes.
And it isn't until, one, you either befriend them or show them their fear and that you're not scared of them anymore, they stop being a bully.
Absolutely. Sometimes
Look
you
at
have
this
to
therapy on this yellow couch.
Yes. Sometimes you have to physically change your state and stand up to the thing that's in your head. I remember I was at my office. It was my first time after my divorce, the divorce, because it's no longer mine. My daughter was gone off to college for the first time, and my younger daughter was going to be with her dad for the weekend for the first time. So for the first time, I was going to be alone on the weekend. And I remember the day was closing. I was sitting at my desk, and I started to feel my demeanor just go down. I didn't know what was coming over me. So I started to pack my things, getting ready to go home with the thought that my kids would be there. And then I realized, my kids are not going to be there. And I stood up in myself and said, no, I'm not engaging you today.
You talk back to Justine.
I talk back to Justine. And sometimes you have to physically change your state because it helps you become aware of what Justine is saying. It helps you it helps you see Justine. Like, that's not me. I'm not this sad person who doesn't have anything to do when she goes home. I enjoyed going home. So what about going home made me feel that way? And I knew that it was the connection to my kids. Well, this is the new normal. And if I don't practice being healed in this new normal, because sometimes you get healed and then you got to practice being healed.
Girl, that's a whole
You got to
word.
remember you got healed. You got to remember you've already overcome this, because sometimes those things will keep coming up. And Justine is your friend in that she serves you in keeping you aware of what's happening. Okay, there's Justine. Girl, sit down.
Girl, sit down. Sit down. How we used to say it in the country.
Sit down. Or just do this. Sit down.
Or give him the eye like your mama used to.
Yes. So let me ask you this. I was about to call you Justine.
Oh, the shade, y'all.
Meka, you talked a little bit about your journey with cancer, and I can imagine that that's probably had some kind of impact on your evolution. Can you share a little bit of that journey with us, and what you felt when you found out and how you started to face that challenge?
Yeah, so let's talk about 2020. So I was
such a short time ago too.
I think 2020 and 2022 just all is one long year.
Yeah.
It's just one long year.
And COVID and all of that. Yeah.
One long year.
Yeah.
But I was laying in bed. I got up. It was about 5 a.m. and I know it was God, especially that time of morning. Said, give yourself a breast exam. And I thought that was so random because I had just had my mammogram like 3 months prior. And I was like, okay. And as women, we all know when the doctors tell you to feel on yourself, because that's what they tell you to do. You're like, well, what am I feeling for? You don't know what you're feeling for.
Yeah.
And there was, without a doubt, a huge lump. It was like a rock that was sitting in my breast. And so I called my primary doctor, and I could hear the concern in her voice. And she was like, go get another mammogram. And I went. And so I'm going to encourage you, ladies, always ask, and your insurance pays for it, always ask for the 3D mammogram. Why it's not mandatory, 3D. I don't know. So I went to get a 3D mammogram, and they said there's something there. And so they did a biopsy, and they called and said it was cancer. And at first I was... like, oh, I'm gonna be fine. It's nothing. It's nothing, because it doesn't run in my family. And it was stage 3, triple negative breast cancer. And so I went through the chemo and the radiation, and as if that wasn't enough, I did my surgery, 2021, radiation, and then my uncle died. Then while I found out he died, my son needed emergency surgery in the most pivotal time of his baseball career. Then after that, my mom went in the hospital with COVID. She was in there for 30 days. And then she died. And then after the funeral, I went in the hospital with COVID. Man. And I'm like, what in the world?
Yes.
And because I was so used to shape-shifting, I didn't know how to shift. I didn't know
what shape to take.
What shape to take.
Yeah.
And I remember going into therapy, and it was January last year. I found myself in the corner rocking and crying, this strong woman full of magic. Yeah. And I'm like, God, help me. I feel myself losing myself. Where are you? And I'm like, I know you see me. I know you hear me. Yeah. And I simply heard him say, healing is work. And I became so angry. I said, how dare you tell me healing is work? All this work I've been doing for myself and other people in my life. Can I be afforded some grace? Why do I have to work for my healing? And I think that's where we slack as strong women, is realizing that healing is work.
It's work.
But how is healing work? Which is the affirmations, is the self-care, is the going to the doctors, not putting everybody else before yourself, and making it and being intentional about your healing.
And so embracing the hurt.
That part.
Admitting that it hurts. Admitting that I'm about to lose my mind.
Absolutely.
And that's what happens to, we won't accept that it hurts. I'm in a situation right now where I have a friend who's basically cut me off. Mm-hmm. And I had to say to myself out loud, because now I'm a professional healer. Now I know how to do this. I said, I know that I can't have this weighing on me. I've got to figure out how to move forward. So I said out loud, God, that was my friend. I miss her. I love her. I'm disappointed. But I don't want to hold on to something that you're trying to move me on from. So it's the embracing the hurt part.
And
so
when you don't, I started having anxiety attacks. And I didn't know what it was because I'd never had them before. And my therapist was the one who told me that's anxiety.
Yeah.
And she said what anxiety is when we, number one, we're not calling it what it is. We're not saying that we're hurt. But what anxiety is your body telling you you're going to stop faking. You're going to feel what I'm feeling right now.
I love it. I just heard Dr. Caroline Leaf, who's a neuropsychologist, say that. I love Dr. Caroline Leaf. She's so smart, so brilliant. And I just like that I get it. But
I have to listen 2 or 3 times before I get it, because that's above my brain level.
Yeah, at first I did, but it's something unlocked. And I used one of her strategies one time, and I was like, oh my gosh, that works. But I just listened to a podcast where she said anxiety, we keep treating the anxiety, we keep treating the physical symptoms or the panic attacks and all of that, but it's just a trigger, a signal that something deeper, something greater is happening. So that was great affirmation, because I heard that, or confirmation. I heard her say that, and you're saying that your therapist shared that with you as well.
And in order to get over it, she said, don't resist it. She said, sit in it and feel it.
Yeah.
And so last year was a space of just being. And oftentimes we think just be or be in the moment. We think oftentimes that's the good times. But even in the bad times, just stop and feel it, be in the moment and recognize it. And also recognize that when it comes to being strong, if we think about our parents and our grandparents, we're not that far removed from slavery. Right. So when we talk about being strong, they didn't have the opportunity to show weakness. So what happened is they passed that down to us, especially our generation.
That's good.
Now our kids, the fact they know about self-care and self-love, and it's just like,
you got to sit with that and all of that.
Exactly. And so being not that far removed from a lot of that was passed down to us, that we have to show up as strong and together and not show our weakness. And so let's give ourselves a little grace, because that was passed down to us of showing up.
That's good.
Being strong.
That's good. I got a clear picture. I don't know, I just saw like a strong woman standing in front of a tattered house, pretending to be strong but just hurting inside. That, you just blew my mind right there, because it was passed down to us. And it's important to know that, because once you figure out the source, you can release yourself from it. I remember even as I was going through a divorce and all of that, I kept saying, I don't have a voice. I don't have a voice. I felt like I didn't have a voice in the boardroom. I didn't have a voice in the bedroom. And then I realized I was the youngest of 10 children. I never really had to talk. I had 9 siblings who loved me and talked for me. And then I also had a mother who grew up in a time where you didn't talk, you kept the peace. So it was every time you'd go to step out, no, don't do that. Just let it go. And that became, I don't have a voice. So the stuff that I was blaming on the husband really belonged to my mother. And then I had to go back with her and say, it wasn't even hers to own. So the digging and the digging and the digging actually helped me to untether myself from all of the feeling inadequate or feeling like I didn't belong at the table and all of that stuff that we go through as we're moving through this journey. So
I'm going to ask her a question, y'all.
yes, go ahead.
So when did you discover your voice?
I discovered my voice as I was going through the divorce, and at the same time of the divorce, I was also experiencing a major involuntary shift in my career. So all of the stuff that I had attached my identity to, because my identity had become enmeshed in the marriage, in the career, in the girl who reaches her goals, in the girl who goes to get it. When all of that was stripped away, Barbara was somewhere in the middle of it, but I didn't know her. I didn't recognize her, but I took some clues from the girl who did all of the other stuff to say, okay, if she can do that stuff, she can do this stuff. She can do the hard stuff. Like you said, healing is hard. It's hard to look at yourself and say you're selfish. It's hard to look at yourself and say you're a mean girl inside, but you're trying to be nice outside. That's hard to look at yourself and say that.
But that's why you need
That is the
real
hard
friends,
work.
though.
That's right.
And when you know you have real friends, when they
Yes.
tell you the truth. So when I moved from Florida to here, the revelation I got was they were pretend friends. Because everybody showed up, oh yes, that's amazing. You have great ideas. You're this, you're that. And my friends here are like, no ma'am.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Stop. Don't do that.
And it was done in love, but I was at a friend's house with her family, and I had said something about them people. And later she came to me after we had come back from the trip, and she said, "This is what you said, but this is how you made my family feel because of X, Y, and Z." And I love that. I love that I have friends that can come and correct me in love, because we need friends that are going to show us our blind spots.
Absolutely.
Now, me, I thought I was doing it in joking, but I didn't know who didn't even think about I could have possibly offended someone.
Right.
So we do need
And
those
how often
girls.
we do that, because we don't know, because of all of this other stuff that's been piled on top of us.
Yes.
So, Meka, not Justine, Meka.
Yes.
Which one? Which one I got?
Justine outside right now. She didn't come in, so I left her in the car.
So, Meka, as we kind of wrap up today, can you share with the other deeper women just some words of encouragement? What would you like for them to take away from Meka today?
A couple things. Find your own Justine, or you can use her.
Yes.
But call her by name.
Oh, I like that. Call
so
her by
that
name.
you can put her on the spot.
I love that.
And then the other thing I will say to deeper women, we're going deeper, right?
That's right.
Let's go a little deep. I will say, give yourself permission.
I love that.
I've just come into the last couple years doing affirmations, right? And sometimes it's hard to make that leap to I am to the manifestation.
Yes.
And I heard Tracy Ross say in an interview with Oprah is she don't start with I am. She starts with I give myself permission.
I like that.
So women, I will tell you, give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself permission to be in the moment.
That's good.
Give yourself permission to be weak, because we are not strong in all things. Though you may think you are. We're not strong in all things, but give yourself permission to love.
I love it.
Give yourself permission to be free.
That's good.
Be silly, because that is the part that I'm trying to get back to.
Yes.
That little girl who I left at 12.
Yes.
Just laugh at myself.
Yes.
Stop showing up trying to be perfect. And I'm going to say this because I know we're closing.
Yeah.
The revelation of that perfection or being strong came through Bridgerton. So in the second season, the oldest brother and the youngest sister were having an argument, and he felt like he had to show up for the family after the dad died, and he had to do this and he had to do that. And the sister said, you didn't have to do any of that. None of us asked you to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
okay, come on and minister to me, Bridgerton.
Yes.
And we put all of this on ourselves most of the time, and nobody even asked us to.
That's right.
Didn't even ask us
Take off
to.
that cape. Nobody asked you to put on that cape. Nobody asked you to carry the world on your shoulders.
Nope. So give yourself permission. And
good.
then the second thing, or last thing, it's my last closing. 2 minutes and 22 seconds. It's something my mom used to say. I can't believe I'm getting ready to say a Lizzo quote. I was watching her show, and she said to the women, she said, you have to allow people to see your tears so that they can respect your smile.
I like it.
And that spoke so deep to me because I'm always showing up smiling.
Yes.
But I felt like when I was going through a lot of that, losing my mom and the surgery and the chemo and all of that, I felt like people did not feel me being weak or they didn't respect.
Right, because they had never seen that.
My tears.
Yeah.
Because they had never seen it.
Yeah, that's good.
And so that would be the last thing I'd leave with women is allow people to see your tears. And even if it's not your tears, your weakness or your mess up or your screw up or your failures, so that they can respect your tears and respect your joy.
That's good. All right, Deeper Women. You heard it from Meka DaVeas with Justine outside. Thank you so much, Meka.
Thank you, Barbara,
This was
for having
amazing.
me.
I'm loving getting to know you.
Yes, girl.
As you get to know yourself, I know that you're a powerful chick.
I'll keep you up on the journey.
Yes, keep me up on the journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You can catch Deeper Conversations on all of the major podcast platforms and on YouTube. Go to Deeper Leader TV and you'll be able to find every episode of Deeper Conversations.